Okay, the Mental Distinction Program is one of several youth programs that ran out of Bethlehem Centers of Nashville. The Mental Distinction Program came about in 1989. As a matter of fact, Mr. George Searcy was one who wrote the proposal for the Mental Distinction Program. We came into existence to try to stem and reduce some of this homicide and violence that's going on in the African-American community. The program has 4 components to it. We have a mentorship program. Mentorship is just a portion of the program where we try to match positive African-American male role models one-on-one with the young men in the program. We have peer group council meetings where the young men come together and talk about problems they might have in the community, at home, in school, and try to come up with some workable solutions that they can use if they like to rid themselves of that problem. We also do activity planning, and we do have spelling contests and spelling bees in this component. Our third component is our conflict resolution of professional counselor, where we try to teach teach conflict resolution, trying to teach these young men how to deal with each other other than violence first. And then our final component is our manhood development and male responsibility training component that has a rite of passage to it. These young men that we deal with each and every day, they do have role models. Unfortunately, a lot of them are negative, and I think James will agree with me there. And seeing these role models, these negative role models, they get a warped sense of what an African-American male is all about. Real African-American men don't rob, they don't rape, they don't jump across bank counters. They're professional people, or they're just people in general that abide by the rules, that work every day, pay taxes, and be a good citizen, just like everybody else should be. And in this component, through our African history class that we have there, and we emphasize pre-slavery history in our African history component, all our field trips and tours are done out of this component here.
Very good, and I think that these organizations are really working toward the same end. There's no doubt about that. But let's look at some of the problems that the two of you are dealing with. And for the sake of our audience this morning, let's see if we can sort of put these things in terms of priority. As both of you have been involved in working with young people for many, many years. Now, if you had to this morning put a priority on some of the things that you would identify as some of the real problems that we have dealing with these young people, what are some of the problems? What are some of the things that we would identify as problems this morning?
Well, I think Mr. King...
Or challenges or whatever.
Right. Mr. King alluded to one that I think is a big factor. Is the images that are placed before our young people, specifically our young males. A lot of times through the gangster rap and some of the other vehicles that are popular with our youth, they're having messages sent to them that give them a false sense of identity and success. The sloppy pants and the negative attitudes toward authority and that kind of thing. And if that's what our youth are consistently exposed to, then they begin to see things in that particular behavior to pattern themselves after. With an organization like 100 Black Men, where our president, Dr. T.B. Boyd, and Mr. Sam Howard, and Mr. Roland Jones, and others, successful businessmen who are coming and showing our young people that they are capable of becoming business leaders and professionals and other successful kinds of professions that are normally not projected to our young people. A lot of times too many sports and entertainment kind of issues are brought before our youth. They need to see some diversity of opportunities so that they realize that the horizon is very broad as far as what they are capable of achieving.
Very good. And of course, I think earlier, Mr. King, you mentioned what I consider to be a very, very important factor, and that is this factor of negative role models, because I think that when we talk about role models, we often forget that you can have a positive role model as well as a negative role model, and if our young people don't have a positive role model, they have to have what? A negative role model. Let's speak to that in terms of the images that you're trying to project for these young people.
Well, as far as these negative role models or these negative images, if these young men get up every day, they look across the street, across John Henry Hill, they see 8 o'clock in the morning, you got a bunch of African-American males standing over there drinking. All right, you have, said, at 25 months old, did this child, even though you assume that he really can't figure out what's going on as far as a relationship between a man and a woman, the first thing he sees is this man hit this woman. And he continually sees her get this woman get hit. Then when it's time for that particular child to have that interaction with that female, the first thing he's going to do is what he's been used to doing, seeing, conditioned to, and that's to hit a woman. Well, see, the mental distinction program, in that we try to break that cycle. We try to explain to them why that's wrong, and also show them the mechanics behind why we do the things that we do. It's a problem. It's a problem that's solvable. We just have to come up with some workable solutions to fit this, correct this situation.
Very good, and of course these negative images will have a tremendous impact upon these young people. When we talk about youth and violence, what are the men of 100 black men of Middle Tennessee doing in terms of trying to address that as an issue, Mr. Thrillkill?
One of the things they're doing is collaborating with the metro school system, where there is a tremendous void of black males. Tennessee enjoys a statistic of having one African-American male kindergarten teacher in the entire state. So by going into the classroom, they're having direct involvement with a lot of the young people who we're trying to impact. In the process of talking with the young people, we talk to them about the importance of having respect for females, about the importance of respecting themselves as well as their peers, and the importance of not placing so much value on material things that they feel like it's worth taking someone's life over. I think the materialism and other false sense of success are the things that are being placed before our youth as standards of excellence, when a true standard of excellence is your character, how you respect other people, and how you carry yourself. And in the process of feeling more of a self-worth, they won't be so inclined to resolve issues through violence. So that's one of the ways that the members try to have an impact on young people, through that direct exposure.
What about